Fashion in Souls games is often a very conflicting topic. Half of us trying to cover up our ugliness in pretty clothes and pretend like there's nothing wrong, but some of us aren't so lucky. And no matter how well we try to hide our true nature, it doesn't change the fact that anyone that looks at us has their eyeballs fall out.
My eyes, they're melting.
But here on this channel, you don't have to feel ashamed about how ugly you are. No. In fact, I encourage you to embrace it.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Good! Say it louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Louder.
I'm ugly and I'm proud. I am ugly and I'm proud. I'm ugly and I'm proud.
And the fact is, the more optimized your build becomes, the uglier you tend to get. But if you thought that going full verdigris or solitude armor was the end-all be-all answer to your mathematically optimized fashion, then you aren't even half as ugly as you should be. Hi, my name's Rust. I'm a Soulsborne content creator with an emphasis on PvP. Build making is a very fun aspect of Souls games, but optimizing your stats, talismans, and armor can take a lot of time, effort, and experience that can take thousands of hours to really understand. And in this video, I'm going to take the guesswork out of the equation, give you the tools, knowledge, and resources for you to build mathematically optimized armor sets. And a fair warning, the sights that you'll see in this video will be horrifying. You will be pointed at in a downward direction.
Disgusting.
You will be scorned, and if the drip inspector ever finds you, fucking run. Run for your fucking life. But with that, be sure to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you found this information helpful to you at all, or if you're just more confused than ever. To start things off, let's talk about optimizing your poise. Elden Ring's poise system works similar to how it did back in Dark Souls 1. Whenever you're hit by an attack, it'll deal a certain amount of poise damage to you. If you have more poise than the amount of poise damage that it deals to you, then you're considered poise chipped, and the amount of poise damage that's dealt to you is reduced from your total overall. If you're then hit by a follow-up attack that then drops your poise health below 0, then you'll be considered poise broken, and your poise health will reset to the full amount. Whenever you're building an armor loadout, one of the most important decisions that you're going to make is how much poise that you want to build for. This is a pretty detailed list of all the various poise breakpoints that you want to be aware of. To clarify, each of these breakpoints represents one poise higher than the amount of poise damage that opposing weapons deal. So for the 88 poise breakpoint, if you have 88 poise, then you can tank the two-handed backswing of small weapons which only deal 87 poise damage. But I'm not suggesting that you build a separate armor loadout for each individual breakpoint. Instead, I just recommend on focusing on one of these three breakpoints. 88 poise, which allows you to reach some of the most important poise breakpoints, including the second swing of all one- and two-handed fast weapons. 111, which covers the first R1 of one-handed small weapons, the second hit of the two-handed light greatsword, the first hit of twin blades, offhand thrusting swords, and the first two hits of an offhand dagger. If you reach 117 poise with Bulgod's Talisman, then you can take the second swing of one-handed great weapons, as well as everything else already mentioned. This also allows you to reach 88 poise without Bulgod's Talisman, letting you be more flexible with how you run your build. When building your armor set, the biggest deciding factor that will influence how you build the rest of your armor will be dependent on your headpiece. Head slot armors provide various stat buffs, bonuses, and sometimes even various drawbacks, which can make or break a build. But ultimately, there's really only three options that are ever worth considering: Circlet of Light, Divine Bird Helm, and Implant Head. Each of these is so absurdly overtuned that it basically invalidates trying to justify anything else in their place. The Circlet of Light has the absolute best poise to weight ratio, with 5 poise to 1 unit of weight. It also comes with 3 stat buffs, 1 in Int, Faith, and Arcane, and it has 3 times as many defenses as anything else within its weight class. The Divine Bird Helm has not only one of the best poise to weight ratios, alongside other helms like the Knight's Helm and Crucible helms, but it also has 7 additional stats given to it, being 3 bonus in strength and 4 in dexterity. When compared to optimized builds that make use of Implant Head, the overall set using Divine Bird Helm will have slightly heavier equip loads and require an additional point of investment in endurance to make the same breakpoint. But with 5 extra levels given to it compared to the Implant Head, you're still coming out with 4 extra bonus stats that you wouldn't have if you used the Implant Head. Then finally, the Implant Head. This one in particular is quite heavy, but among the head slots, this one still manages to have the best poise to weight ratio on anything over 9 poise, has very high defenses, and has an additional 2 points of vigor, meaning 2 more points that you can freely invest elsewhere in your build. In pure strength builds that have 0 investment in dexterity, nothing beats the Implant Head. Building with this at the center of your armor set lets you reach the best overall poise to weight ratios at higher poise values, and the best overall defenses, with no drawbacks unlike the Divine Bird Helm, which reduces focus resist. So if you're looking for something that's consistently good in all scenarios with no drawbacks, then go with the Impline set 100% of the time. As some notable mentions, there's 2 other helms worth discussing. The Fire Knight's helm offers plus 2% max HP, plus 4% equip load, and plus 5% stamina. And while the Fire Knight's helm can overall reach higher levels of base HP than what the 2 extra points of vigor from Imp Head provides, the Fire Knight helm is incapable of reaching as high of levels of defenses as the Impline Head. So in terms of overall effective HP, when calculating defenses and damage negations, the Impline Head still comes out on top. The Giant Divine Beast helm has some room for discussion. It has less overall defenses than Impline Head and weighs a lot more, but you really can't ignore the 8 extra bonus stats given to it with 4 in strength and 4 in dexterity. If you're using a build with high requirements of both stats, then you can use it to come out with some extra levels to invest in your build for just a small cost of defenses. If however you're on a pure strength build that doesn't require the extra levels of dexterity, then Impline Head is always just better. In any case, on any build that makes use of Impline Head, you could just swap it out for the Divine Beast Head if you really wanted the extra stats. But from here we're going to start actually building out these sets. Kicking things off, we're just going to be focusing on building for the most optimized poise to weight ratio for each breakpoint. These sets are only something that I'd recommend running if you're literally starving for extra levels of investment to put into other places, and your only focus is on creating a build that meets a specific breakpoint with the absolute lowest equip load possible. Okay, real quick, this is about to get really boring and really number crunchy. If you ain't into that and just want the easy answer without all the then just skip ahead to like 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Starting off with the 88 poise breakpoint, these sets are best for low-level builds up to rune level 125 that are just trying to reach the first breakpoint so that they can have as many levels as possible to invest into their damage. With the Circuit of Light, you can run Tree Sentinel Armor, Battle Mage Manchettes, and their Crucible Greaves for a total of 30.6 equip load. With the Divine Bird Helm, you would run Tree Sentinel Armor, no gloves, and Young Radon's Legs for a total of 32.8 equip load. And with the Impline Head, you would run Crucible Axe Armor, Crucible Greaves, and no gloves for a total combined 33.2 equip load. It's worth noting that even with base 10 endurance, you would still be able to medium load with any of these setups, not including weapons and talismans. When you jump up to 111 poise, you can meet a good variety of various breakpoints that makes this setup feel very comfortable. This breakpoint is best for invaders who need to meet any number of challenges that get thrown their way. When optimizing for Circuit of Light, you can reach 111 poise with Solitude Armor, Blide's Gauntlets, and Solitude Legs for 44.4 equip load. With Divine Bird Helm, you would run Solitude Chest, Godskin Noble Bracelets, and Solitude Greaves for 45.1 equip load. And with Impline Head, you would run Tree Sentinel Armor, Zamor Bracelets, and Solitude Legs for 44.6 equip load, and the best overall defenses out of the 3 options, only being 0.2 equip load heavier than the Circuit of Light options. At 117 poise, your build is given a lot of versatility. At this breakpoint, if you remove Bullgoat's Talisman, then you'll be sat at 88 poise, so you can either choose to equip it or not depending on the matchup, and if you don't require the high poise value, then you can just swap it out for more valuable talismans in its place. On an optimized build with Circuit of Light, you'd run it with Verdigrease's Chest, Lionel's Gauntlets, and Solitude Greaves for 48.8 equip load. With the Divine Bird Helm, you would run Solitude Armor, Young Radon's Gauntlets, and Verdigrease Greaves for 49.6 equip load, and for the Implant set, you would run Solitude Chest, Godskin Noble Bracelets, and Solitude Greaves for 48.6, being now less than the Circuit of Light option. Out of all of these options, you could still be in medium equip load with only 25 points of investment into endurance, not including weapons and talismans. Now while these sets are optimal for their poise to weight ratios, they're really lacking in defenses.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
And for just the cost of 1 or 2 extra points of investment, you can reach significantly higher defenses at the same breakpoint. Out of all of your defenses, the 2 most important ones are your slash resistance and your pierce resistance, as most things commonly run in the meta deal either of these types of damage. And if your set is sitting at less than 30% for either of these defenses, then you may want to consider carving out an extra point to get into some heavier armor. It can be really easy to get dead set on trying to meet a specific damage cap, like 66 or 80 strength, but you'll get way more value out of 1 or 2% of extra defenses than you could ever get out of the 3 or 4 AR given by a single point into a damage stat. There's a couple of armor sets that really stand out as key pieces that really help boost the shit out of your defenses. At lower poise ranges, the Clean Rot Knight set, Beast Champion set, and Royal Knight set all come out with extremely high defenses for their Poise range. This makes them a very useful option for you to try and switch out any of your builds if you're looking to squeeze out some extra defenses. At higher Poise ranges, the Gaia set and Lionel set both have incredibly high defense values, letting you reach over 36% in your defenses for slash and pierce. Gaius' armor is notable for having the highest overall slash resist available, whereas Lionel's is most notable for its insane pierce resist. It's also worth pointing out that Gaius' comes with extremely valuable elemental resistances, with some of the highest available magic and lightning resistance. So from here, let's build out these sets focused around the highest possible combination of slash and pierce resist at each of these breakpoints. Among the 88 Poise options, starting with Circle of Light, equip Gaius' armor, Lionel's gauntlets, and Royal Knight's greaves. This brings your overall equip load to 37.8, being a lot heavier than the lightest option available, but with defenses reaching as high as 32.6 pierce and 33.1% slash resistance. For the Bird Helm, you can equip Gaius' armor, Royal Knight's gauntlets, and Royal Knight's greaves, bringing you to an incredibly high equip load of 39.3, but with fairly high defenses at 33.1% pierce and 33.8% slash. And with the Impline head, you can go with Royal Knight's chest, Lionel's gauntlets, and Beast Champion legs, bringing you to a very high defense value of 34.9% pierce and 34.3% slash. For the 111 Poise options, starting with Circlet of Light, you can swap out to Lionel's chest, Verdigree's gauntlets, and Verdigree legs, bringing your defenses up to 33.7% in both slash and pierce resist. With the Bird Helm option, the set that provides the highest combined defenses is with the Gaius' armor, Lionel's gauntlets, and Verdigree greaves, giving you 34.4% pierce resist and 35.3% slash resist. And then with Impline head, you can equip Gaius' armor, Gaius' gauntlets, and Lionel's greaves, bringing you to a very heavy set of 48 equip load, but with the highest possible combination of defenses with the Impline head at 36.7% pierce resist and 36.9% slash resist. And finally, for the 117 Poise options, these, again, tend to be a lot harder to invest for than the previous options, requiring fairly high levels of endurance if you still want access to a good variety of options for weapons and optimized talismans. The major benefit here is that you have a very flexible bulk out talisman, meaning that you only ever have to equip it if you come up against a matchup that requires over 88 Poise for you to be able to deal with it. At this point, optimizing for defenses with Circlet of Light really isn't viable, as you have a lot less defenses at the higher equip loads than you could ever achieve with the Impline head. But if you were to try, then you could run it with the Verdigree chest, Gaius' gauntlets, and Verdigree legs for 49.6 equip load and 34.1% slash and 33% pierce resist. With the Bird Helm, you would run it with Verdigree's chest with Lionel's gloves and legs, raising your overall defenses to 35.1% slash and 34.4% pierce. Again, being less overall defenses at a higher equip load than the 111 Poise option. And lastly, with the Impline head, it equipped Gaius' chest, Lionel's gauntlets, and Verdigree greaves, letting you reach just about the same defenses as the 111 Poise options, so the only reason why you'd ever go to this is if you specifically wanted the extra Poise. It's really hard to give you a definitive, this is the best set for you to wear at this breakpoint, because it really depends on how you're running your build, from what weapons you're using to what talismans you're running. The main problem with any of these defense stacking sets is that they start to reach a point at their given Poise breakpoint where you really have to question how much value you're really getting in terms of defenses for the extra endurance that you're having to invest in order to get it. So I ended up going through every relevant combination of the various armor sets and determined their overall defense to weight values and calculated the diminishing returns associated with each breakpoint. And after hours of plugging these values and managing multiple spreadsheets, I can confidently give you a definitive answer of which armor sets give you the best overall value. These are objective values given by their defense to weight ratio at each breakpoint, and are indicated by trends in each of these graphs. So with that, let's get into which armor sets provide you with the best overall returns at each breakpoint. At the 88 Poise breakpoint, the Circle of Light build, prioritizing its defenses, has the highest defense to weight ratio with 0.97% defenses per equip load. This build is perfect for casters that need just enough Poise to avoid getting blendered by fast weapons, and allows them to mash Catch Flame at a hit stun like a truly filthy wizard. The Divine Bird Helm is sort of a middle-of-the-road option, having generally lower all defenses than what the Implied provides, but thanks to the extra 7 bonus stats given to it, it's a lot easier to invest for. At this breakpoint, the Divine Bird Helm can be used with Tree Sentinel armor, Veteran's gauntlets, and Verdigree greaves, for a total of 45.8 equip load, at a combined 33.5 defenses. This is the best defense to weight ratio that you can achieve with the Divine Bird Helm at the 111 Poise breakpoint. This is a phenomenal setup for invader builds that need the extra stats in strength and dexterity to equip a number of useful swaps, such as great bows, which have fairly high stat requirements in both strength and dexterity. Otherwise, you can go with the previously mentioned set with the Divine Bird Helm, Gaius' Armor, Lionel's Gauntlets, and Vertigo Greaves, giving you the highest combined defenses that you can achieve with the Bird Helm, with an average of 34.85% defenses at only 2 extra points of equip load. Both of these sit as high outliers on the arc of diminishing returns, so it really comes down to how much you're willing to invest into your endurance to choose between these two sets. You can technically get a higher defense on the Bird Helm by going down to 106 poise with Lionel's Chest, Gaius' Gauntlets, and Lionel's Greaves, bringing you up to a combined defenses of 34.97, being 0.13 higher defenses than the previously mentioned set, but without being able to reach the 111 breakpoint, I really wouldn't recommend it. At the 111 poise breakpoint, the set with the best overall defense to weight ratio is Tree Sentinel Armor, Young Lion's Gauntlets, and Lionel's Greaves. This set can be adjusted for slightly higher defenses by swapping out the gauntlets to the more defensive Beast Champion gauntlets for an extra 0.8 equip load, but overall in terms of the calculation of defense per point of equip load, Young Lion Gauntlets is simply more optimal. It's also worth noting that with the Gaius' Chest, Veteran's Gauntlets, and Lionel's Greaves, which stands out at a second arc of its diminishing returns, you reach an incredible 36.5% in combined defenses at 47.6 equip load. This is a good middle-of-the-road option if you're willing to invest some extra points into endurance for the extra defenses. However, by swapping out the Gaius' Gauntlets for an extra 0.4 equip load, you can reach the maximum possible defenses that you can get within the 111 breakpoint. The only set that has higher combination of slash and pierce resistance uses Lionel's Armor in its place, sitting at an awkward 113 poise for an extra 0.05 extra defenses from the Gaius' version, both of which have higher defenses than anything available at the 117 breakpoint or higher. So if you're just looking to have the maximum overall defenses, then either of these would be your best option. The set with Lionel's Chest, Young Radon's Gauntlets, and Vertigo's Greaves gives you the best overall defense to weight ratio at the 117 bracket. This build can make use of lighter weapons such as Shamshir or Thrusting Sword and still come out comfortably over 60 strength. The flexibility of this being able to swap out the Bulgo's Talisman just makes it even more potent, allowing it to make use of a tally loadout such as the 3 multi-hit tallies along with the 2-handed sword talisman. As I mentioned earlier in this video, if you are absolutely starving for extra levels, then you could opt for the Divine Beast Head for the extra 8 levels in bonus stats without having to change out any other pieces of gear on this set. And depending on your build, the Divine Beast Head might actually be a better option for you. Alternatively, you can go with the slightly heavier set that we've already mentioned with an Imp Lion Head, Gaius' Chest, Lionel's Gauntlets, and Vertigo Greaves, for only 1 unit higher in equip load with slightly better defenses, averaging at 36.7%, up from 36.2%. And now while my calculator says that this is technically less optimal, it's so marginally close it's really up to you which one that you want to go with. I went ahead and made a full spreadsheet of each of the various armor sets provided throughout this video, where you can quickly look up the various options and test them for yourself to see which one works best for your build. The way that this spreadsheet is set up is that each armor set is separated by color-coordinated poise categories, and calculations are given by each poise weight ratio, combined defenses, and their combined defenses to weight ratio. The graphs indicate the curve of defenses per unit of weight for each breakpoint, and are further separated by head slot type in the tabs down below. Any set that you see highlighted indicates a peak where you get the highest values of combined defenses to weight within their given curve of diminishing returns, where there's usually 2 or 3 notable options where the diminishing returns can be seen for each breakpoint. So if you find that any of the sets that are provided don't quite fit your build, then you're welcome to look through these options and use the table to pinpoint the perfect set for your particular build. The link for this is provided in the description. The best tool that I could possibly offer you is Amelia's Build Planner. The link for this is in the description. With this, you can fully plan out a build with everything from your starter class to your weapons, talismans, and even being able to calculate your most optimal poise that you can achieve with how much endurance that you have available. But the options that I provide in this video are about as optimal as you're ever going to get. This is really just an extra tool that you can use to help you with your unique and specific build. If you do decide to take advantage of Amelia's site, then definitely consider going over and donating to her coffee for all the work that she does for the Elden Ring PvP community. I want to apologize once again and say thank you for having patience with me as I initially uploaded this video with a number of errors. I make it a point to be sure that all the information that I provide is accurate to the best of my ability, and I failed to do that before. But I always want to encourage any of you to challenge my information and hold me accountable. I am human and I make mistakes. But I make it a priority to provide the most accurate information that I can. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.